every single thing in our lives is preparing us for the next thing. Even when it's a season like this, where we've been in this season of COVID and it's been maybe different or quiet or, disappointing or whatever, I feel like God is always teaching us something in those moments if we're willing to take it.
Hey, I'm Jody.
And I'm Chris.
And we are Loving the Outcome. Welcome to our podcast.
We're a husband and wife who rock out together.
We're parents of Milo and Ziggy.
And we're following Jesus as best we can.
Our story began in Winnipeg, Manitoba, where we fell in love, got married, and decided to sell everything and travel in our Jetta, selling CDs out of the trunk of our car.
The road led us to Nashville, where we signed a record deal, started our family, and now the four of us travel together in our minibus, White Neptune.
I know, crazy, right? Our life is a road trip.
And we want to invite you into it.
So come along for the ride as we chat with some of our favorite people about family, spirituality, wellness,
and of course, music.
Come on, let's go.
This podcast is brought to you by Hope and Healing International.
For $30 a month, $1 a day, you can sponsor a life-changing surgery for a little boy or girl living in Africa. We're talking about club feet, cleft palates, going from blindness to sight. In 1 year, you can literally send a healing hug and change a child's life.
If you'd like more information, go check out the website at lovehealinghugs.com, and you can see video of our buddy Bernard.
This is my son, Bernard. He wants so much to be and play like the other children. But he can't. Instead, he suffers every day. As a father, I would do anything for my son. I love him, but sometimes this is not enough. They say they can heal my boy. I told them, I work hard, but I have no money to pay for it. They told me someone in Canada is paying to heal my son.
For over 100 years, Hope and Healing International has helped break the cycle of poverty and disability for thousands of children in the poorest communities. But we can't do it alone. For $30 a month, you will directly fund the surgeries, medical care, and rehabilitation for a child who would otherwise go untreated. A child just like Bernard. We will send you a picture of every child you help, their treatment plans, and progress reports. And each child we treat on your behalf will receive this bear to hug on their journey ahead. All you have to do is go online or call now. It's that simple.
Thank you for making my son smile again.
Hi friends, welcome to the backyard of our pretend house. It's so beautiful.
It is.
And I'm here with such a beautiful woman, beautiful friend, Jasmine Murray. Thanks for hanging.
Yes, thanks for having me.
So good.
Yeah.
So good to have her. I know you're all clapping and cheering because you're huge fans. And it's been too long since we've hung out.
I know.
So this is so fun.
I know. This is great. Thank you for inviting me and having me.
First of all, tell everyone, because I thought it was the most interesting Starbucks order I've ever heard. So what is your Starbucks order?
Oh my gosh. I know. It's so extra.
I love it.
So I was talking about this the other day on my Instagram just because I always get hot coffee even when it's hot. So
do I.
Do you?
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
Yes. Is that just because you grew up like what is that? You just love it?
I just like it hot. Mm-hmm. Like I don't know. I never really got into iced coffee. Hey. I never really got into iced coffee and even knew that was a thing. Mm-hmm. I think until I got a little bit older. But yeah, and I think probably the first time I had iced coffee was maybe 4 years ago when I moved here.
Right.
So, but no, I get usually a venti, Here's my little drink. A venti chai latte.
Yep.
7 pumps of chai, almond milk, no water, extra hot, and a 1 shot of espresso.
This is a woman who just shows up as she is, knows what she wants. I love it. It's amazing, and I'm going to have to try it.
Yes, it's so good. It's the right
good.
amount of sweet and like a little bit of that coffee feel.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then the no water thing, I think I learned that from a friend of mine. She worked at Starbucks. They put like water in it a little bit. And I'm like, I don't want to pay for water. Like I want
give me
all
the good stuff.
the chai and the milk. Like I want all of that stuff. So
I love it.
Yeah, and it just gives it a little extra flavor.
So good. You always show up, and it's just inspiring to be around you.
Oh my gosh.
I feel like here we are in the backyard with the flowers, but we're both like bringing our best selves.
I know. We're
you know?
like ready to go do a show, and I love it. Like it's
Me
so
too.
fun.
Let's
You've got
get
your
on the
leather
road.
jacket. Like yes, girl.
Let's just do it.
I know. It's been so long too. Gosh, like I haven't, been out and been able to do, anything as far as like music on the road in a while. Like I did a Christmas program back in December in San Antonio at a church there. So that was really fun.
Oh,
and
that feels great.
Yeah, like it was so nice to just get back on stage and worship and just like, get to be surrounded by people worshiping. Like that was so fun. So yeah, it was nice.
You're normal.
Yes.
Right? Like
Yes.
the stage.
What I'm used to.
Is your normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
COVID has been a little crazy.
Yeah.
A little crazy.
So, like, take me back to this morning before you came looking like this. Right? Like, because I know for me, it's just all the things to get to a point where I'm, like, combing my hair, getting out of sweatpants. Do you get up and get dressed and ready every day? Like, how do you face the day? Yeah, like, what do you...
No.
Tell me the truth.
No, not at all. First of all, I like to sleep in. Like,
Yes.
I really enjoy my sleep. So if I don't, like, have anything going, I don't get up, like, until probably after 12.
Girl, do it.
I'm sorry.
No. I think someone listening needs to give themselves a little permission.
And so I feel like I want so badly though to be an early riser because I'm like, oh man, you have the day and you get to enjoy, the sunshine and just like get stuff done. But at the same time, I don't feel like I am really at my best until like a little bit later in the day.
Yeah.
So, I've had to learn to just be okay with that a little bit and not be like so hard on myself because I know I function better later in the day. But I woke up earlier this morning. I woke up at like 10, I think.
Yeah, there you go.
Had my oatmeal. I sat and watched, I've been watching this new show on Netflix called, the Startup.
Ooh,
and
I need a new show.
It's actually really good.
Okay,
yeah,
awesome.
They've got like 3 seasons, so you can binge.
Nice, perfect. Love it.
So I watched a little bit of that, and then started actually like getting ready. I think I just like needed a minute.
Yeah.
And while we're talking about this, because last night, I had a little bit of a day and I ended up going to the gym. I did not feel like it, but I told myself, I'm like, Jasmine, you're going to feel better when you go to the gym. You always feel better when you go to the gym.
Yep.
I did not.
So you did the gym and you finished and you still felt the same.
I wasn't feeling it. Like the whole time I was in the gym.
That's
I was
rough.
like, why does, I don't know, it just felt like the weights were heavier and I just felt like I didn't have any energy and I almost fell like on my way going into the gym and then I got mad because I was like, oh, somebody probably saw me and that's embarrassing.
Right.
So, just like all those feelings, and then I ended up just kind of like feeling like I was beating myself up afterwards and I was like, I just feel like I didn't even do anything. Like what was the point in that? And I had to just kind of like, I don't know, reset after that because I was really kind of like feeling down. Those times where like one thing can just spiral.
Oh yeah.
And be like a domino effect. Yeah. And so, I don't know, I just had to like get myself together. I talked to my boyfriend last night and I was just like, man, I just felt like I didn't do anything. And he works out every day and, he's like all into it. And he's like, tomorrow's going to be better. Tomorrow's going to be better. Just try again. You showed up. That's the biggest part of the battle is showing up sometimes even when you don't feel like it. So
it's so true. I always tell Chris,
babe, I got the yoga pants on. I'm winning. Like, I'm already winning.
Yes.
Because for me, it's honestly changing out of PJs, out of sweats. That bird has something to say.
I know.
Something to share on this podcast. I feel you. I understand. Cut it out. But yeah, it's honestly changing into the workout clothes is half the battle for me.
Yeah.
Just to be like, okay, I'm getting ready for this. I can do this. Working my way up to it.
Absolutely.
But what do you do when you do feel like that? Like, what's your pep? Do you have a pep talk for yourself, or do you just let yourself sort of be blah? Like,
so I think like leading up to it, I was just like, I don't really feel like doing it. But, you know, I've been trying to get more like back into the gym this year because during COVID, I definitely was not working out, and, you know, just like I could feel the effects of that personally. And so I just want to feel better, you know, like it's not about like, I don't know, a certain thing or like looking a certain way. But I know I feel better naturally when I am more active. And I know like for my mental health too, like it's so helpful to just get in there and feel strong and feel empowered and feel like I did something today, you know, even if it was just getting on the treadmill or lifting a few weights. So, you know, when I have those times of like feeling just super unmotivated, like, I do. I have to kind of just like talk to myself, have a little caffeine.
Right. That helps.
And just like, I don't know, like take a minute to breathe. And that's what I did yesterday. I was like, all right, I'm going to have a little, you know, caffeine bar. And I just started getting dressed and putting on my yoga pants. And I was just like, okay, like you can do this. Just get yourself there. Go. 'Cause sometimes that is half the battle is actually getting there. And then once I get there, a lot of times I'm good. I'm like, okay, I'm good. Like, you know, I can stay here all day, honestly. Like,
right. I'm in it now. Totally.
And so it was so different yesterday, but you know, we all have those days. We'll all have those moments where, maybe it's a little bit harder today. And, you know, this doesn't have to just go with working out, but just in general, just waking up and showing up for the day is sometimes a battle. And I've been in that spot where just getting out of bed in the morning is like hard. It feels like something massive, you know? So I understand what it's like to be in those spots, but I think once you realize like, hey, take a step at a time, put your feet on the floor. Turn on the water.
That
Wash your face.
next step. Just
one at a time. Keep going. One step, one foot in front of the other. And then until naturally you get yourself there and you're like, I did it. Awesome.
Wow. And that's when you do have to post on Instagram. It's not even for anyone else. It's just like, well, it is. It's actually for everyone. That's in that same spot.
But it also keeps you like, motivated too.
Because I think when I was younger, I thought as a female that I just show up for everybody else, not for myself. And I don't know who needs to hear this, but I hear you saying too, sure, you're a better version of yourself in the world, but it's also just like, I feel more strong. My mental health is better, less anxiety, all of these things. And it's for me. It's okay to show up just like for me.
Absolutely.
Like boyfriends are awesome, husbands are great, all that stuff is awesome, but I don't fit into the skinny jeans for Chris. Like,
absolutely.
Actually, I threw skinny jeans away. Forget that I just said that. I don't own those anymore. I have the flowy things. But, you know, it's for me. You know, and then it's also, it sprinkles into the other areas, right? And I feel like women need to know that's okay. You're not always just on this planet to give.
Right.
And like I feel like as females we've been told inside and outside of the church, like culturally, that our best offering, every mother is a martyr. Someone said that to me early on in my motherhood journey, and I was like,
wow,
whoa, then don't sign me up. Like that, like of course, yes, so like I'm gonna give birth, like, you know, but like I have worth and value now, not when I'm a mom, not when I'm a wife, not when I hit the XYZ marks.
That is so good.
Like you have value right now. You have value right now, whatever season you're in. I don't know where that started, but it started somewhere, you know, and I'm just hearing you talk, I really appreciate it. I feel like a lot of women just like need to be reminded, I need to be reminded, like just whatever I do today, just showing up for my real life, for me, you know, and sometimes I think too, like, if we don't have God in the sentence we're saying, it's not godly. And that's just, no, he's in everything.
Absolutely.
So I don't need to say,
Yeah.
I just did my best for the Lord. Like, yeah, I am, but like, he's in me and he wants me to show up for myself.
Definitely.
And, you know, like, anyways, I appreciate what you said. And I'm going to quote you to you. Can I quote you to you right now? Because I think I was on an airplane on one of my first shows that was rescheduled since COVID. And you posted a picture in the gym. And this is what you said. To be honest with you today was one of those days that was really hard to get out of bed. I was unmotivated. I started to feel sad because of it. Some days are just hard for me. Some days I wake up, I feel great. Other days it's a battle with myself and my mind. I've struggled with anxiety and depression, and I know it's still something that affects me. Even on my worst days, I have to remind myself, this too shall pass. That just, like, I stopped what I was doing. I, like, screenshot the caption. Because, like, I have those days all the time, and during COVID, I feel like it's even times 10, you know, for a lot of us. Just, and the fact that you were able to say out loud, like, I had a hard time today. Like, I was feeling anxious. I was feeling depressed today. Was just so honest and so relatable. And so, thanks for being, like, just real. And that's why you're an influencer, in my opinion.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I just, so what, was that hard for you to share? Was it like?
A little bit. Like, I feel like, sometimes just being able to, like, formulate the words to, like, put out there. Because I don't know, it's, like you said, not even always necessarily for someone else. Like, sometimes you have to, like, encourage yourself and, like, you know, be the person that speaks life over yourself. And then sometimes that happens naturally. You don't even realize that you'll be talking to somebody else and they're like, I think that was for me.
Right.
Like,
you know?
Right. I need to listen to my own words.
Right.
But yeah, like, in that moment, like, I have had a lot of those days, and you know, it kind of ebbs and flows for me. Like, some days I wake up and I'm super like, all right, what am I going to do today? You know, like, let's get stuff done. And then other days, like that day, I was in bed and I was like, I really don't want to get up today. Like, I just want to stay here, you know? And I think that was probably the only thing I did that day was go to the gym, honestly. And I did. I felt so good about it, though. And I was like, man, I'm proud of myself for doing this thing. And I know for so many of us, like I said, like, it can be a battle, like, just getting out of bed. But knowing that you did show up, and even if you don't some days, don't beat yourself up, to have grace, because sometimes you have to listen to your body. Sometimes your body is saying you need to rest. You need to just sit down for a minute and like not do anything, because you need that space to like process or recover or whatever, reset. So that's important, to just be in tune with your body and like your mind and what it's saying to you. And also sometimes you do have to push yourself a little bit. But I think the most important thing that I've had to learn is like, like having that space for grace and saying like, you know what, maybe you didn't get up today, or maybe you didn't get a lot done. But yeah, like, this too shall pass. Like, tomorrow. Set a goal. You know? If you make a list of 2 things you want to do, you know, or just one thing, and then see where it goes. Because I feel like oftentimes, like, I have to do that for myself where I get overwhelmed. I'll be like, okay, today I want to get this done. And then I'll end up doing a lot more. Just naturally out of like, you know, okay, I'm already doing this, so I might as well just go ahead and do this too. And I'm kind of like a little bit everywhere, I feel like, because I am a little bit creative, so I don't like work with like a schedule. I've never been that way. And I really, really try, and I think, you know, in some ways that would probably be helpful for me. I mean, but I don't know, that's a little bit hard for me. So some days I will just wake up and I'll be like, okay, I need to get this done, and that done.
Yeah.
All right. So at some point I'm going to get all those things done.
Yeah.
It may not all be within this time frame, but that's just what works for me personally. And it may be different for someone else.
Yeah.
But you have to know what works for you. You have to know when you're at your best.
Yeah.
You know, what times of the day you're more productive or when you can actually be at your best. So, you just kind of have to get to know yourself. And if that means like sitting down and saying, okay, like, when is Jasmine most productive? When is Jasmine most motivated to go to the gym? Is it in the morning or is it at night? Because some people it's in the morning and some people it's not. Like, you're not an early riser, so that wouldn't be practical for you. Or you'll do it for a little bit and then you'll fall out of it because that's not naturally what you're going to want to do. So, I don't know. I think, it's a journey of like still learning about yourself. And I'm 29, so I feel like I'm in a solid place, but I feel like I'm still constantly learning and understanding what works for me and how the Lord is like using me in these little areas and in these little spaces to be able to become the woman He's creating me to be. So
that's beautiful.
Yeah, I don't know.
I love that, and I feel like COVID it's given us all a chance to get to know ourselves, which is hard sometimes. Especially if anybody watching, which I'm sure all of us have experienced loss of some kind, you know, and sometimes it's the loss of what your identity is wrapped up in. And then you're looking in the mirror and you're like, who's Jody without applause, without shows, without fancy clothes, without any of that stuff? Am I comfortable with who I see in the mirror? Wow. You know what I mean? And I feel like there's something about this season that has given us all a chance to do that, whether or not we want to do that or not. It's hard work. Yeah. You know, it is. And the other thing I love that you said, which I feel like every woman listening needs to hear, is that I think we feel like a failure when we set our goals on someone else's path. You know, we feel most like a failure when I'm like, I'm reaching for your goals. I'm not reaching for mine.
Wow. That's awesome.
And that's, like, I'm setting myself up to fail. Because like you said, like if you're an afternoon, evening workout person and I'm morning, but I'm setting my goals on, okay, this is how she does it. It's her formula. I'm just going to, or body type. Like, oh my gosh. I just want to look like all of these influencers. So my goal is just going to be that. Yeah. But your body's like, honey,
not the same.
Like, you like just honor yourself, honor where you are and set a goal that serves you well.
Absolutely.
You know, and I feel like I've given myself more permission to do that. Just to be like, I'm going to set my own goals. I'm going to like dance to the beat of my drum. I'm going to mom my way. I'm going to be Jody. Like,
come on.
I don't need to worry, you know? And sometimes it's funny. It means posting and then just getting off social media. Like, it's been a funny thing but that's just where I am right now, trying to really not edit based on other people's content, what I feel to share. Yes. And then just let it be and then kind of step back from social media. And it's hard. That part's hard. I'll just find myself scrolling and I don't even know why I'm still scrolling. Yeah. But just putting some boundaries. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
That's good.
Put some boundaries around it, you know?
It has to be freeing too.
Right.
To just kind of like let it go, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, and it's hard, like you said, like, it's like songwriting. It's like you're putting your heart like out there on paper and then putting it to, you know, the music and then putting it out there for people to hear. And, you know, you have no idea how they're going to respond or how they're going to take it. But you just, after that, it's out of your control, you know? And I mean, it's, you know, similar with, you know, social media and being an influencer or being someone who, you know, people are looking to and, you know, reading your posts and, you know, are feeling something from that. But I mean, I think that people can see when you're being genuine and when you are just putting your heart out there. And I think that's what people just really want to see, you know? That really speaks to people. And I think we live in a very, you know, interesting time right now where, you know, social media is taken off, you know, and I mean, people are paying more and more attention to that. But I think it's so important, like you said, to just be able to put it out there and then go live your life. Like, go do something else and not get so caught up in, okay, what are people saying? How many likes did it get? oh, maybe I should have said this differently, you know?
Right.
Like,
Yes,
'cause that
girl.
can be just like a game that you will never get off that train, you know?
It's so true.
Oh
I
my
love that.
gosh.
Post it and go live your life. You're right. And until we find that groove, it can just be too all consuming.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. You have gotten on stages. Like, I got nervous and sweating just reading your, like, all the things you've done. Just thinking about how, so we're talking about showing up for ourselves. We're talking about showing up, like, to the gym, doing our life during COVID, and we're not doing it on some days because it's just been hard.
Yeah.
It's been hard. But, okay, so goodness sakes. American Idol Season 8. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody watching knows you from this. But that's huge. That's, like, a big deal. Miss Mississippi 2014, Top 10 Miss America 2015. Girl, how do you do it? Like, how do you balance, like, getting ready to step on this stage and carry yourself and present yourself and to have you be what people are, like, voting on? How do you stay healthy in that?
Oh gosh. I mean,
Just a little question. It's small.
I mean, it's interesting because, you know, in those times of my life when I did American Idol, I was 16. So I was like a baby, you know, when I think about it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like it feels like it was yesterday, but it was so long ago.
Do you feel like you've changed so much since then?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my
gosh.
gosh.
Like it's a different person that did that.
Tremendously.
Wow.
And I mean, I still feel like at the core, like I am the same person.
Yeah.
But I feel like I've learned so much, and that experience in and of itself taught me so much about myself. It taught me so much about being able to, like, when you know yourself, stick to what you know, you know, and
That
being
is
okay
good.
with that. Like, and just saying like, hey, I know who I am, you know, even though I'm 16, like at the heart of it, like I knew, you know, the kind of music I liked. I knew like my style. I knew, you know, different things like that. And I think especially like when you're in the music industry, it's so easy to look at what's trending or what everybody else is doing and kind of want to emulate that. But I think it's so important to like also be able to stay true to who you are, because people want something different and new. They don't want the same thing all the time, you know?
Yeah. Totally.
So I think that's the really cool part, is when you can bring something different to the table and people can go, oh wow, like I didn't even know that was a thing, but like, yeah, I like how they do this, or I like their style of singing or whatever, and being able to just like be true in that. And I feel like at the end of the day, like you'll know, like I feel like you'll feel a conviction. And I felt so many times like in the course of my life where the Lord has been like, Jasmine, this is what, you know, I've said, or this is the way that I've made you, or this is what I want you to do, and just stick to that, you know?
That's good.
And it'll be fine. Whether it's good or whether it's bad, whether the outcome is good or bad, like, you know, you stuck to what you believed in.
That's
you
good.
know that you did what was in your heart.
That's good.
And so, you know, there's nobody else to blame, and that's okay, because I feel like everything happens for a reason. Like, I've just always believed that in my heart. So, you know, I didn't win American Idol. I made the top 13, and it was awesome, and I'm so thankful for that. And I mean, it opened so many doors and opportunities for me musically to be able to, you know, years later to be able to make Christian music, and even to, you know, eventually do pageants and be in that world. And so I'm so grateful for that. And I feel like every single thing in our lives is preparing us for the next thing. Even when it's
that's good.
Yeah, like even when it's a season of like this, where we've been in this season of COVID and it's been maybe different or quiet or, you know, disappointing or whatever, I feel like God is always teaching us something in those moments if we're willing to take it, if we're willing to be open to it and just say, okay, like, I know this isn't where I want to be right now, and I've been in that position where I'm like, this is not where I want to be. But God is like, but this is where I have you, because I need you to learn something out of this in order for you to get to where I'm trying to take you. And if you can't appreciate where you are now, you're not going to appreciate where I'm trying to take you. You're not going to understand where I'm trying to take you, and you're not going to be ready for where I'm trying to take you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
so true.
It's just been one of those like learning experiences where I'm like, the Lord has been, I feel like, just pacing me in everything in my life.
Yeah.
And saying, like, a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here. I'm going to see how you do with that. I'm going to see how you do with that. If you appreciate that when I give you that. And then maybe you can be ready for the next thing, you know? And I feel like he does that with us. I feel like he wants to set us up for success. Like, I don't feel like he wants us to fail. He's not sitting there saying, like, you know, good luck. Yeah. No, he's saying, like, this, I'm trying to teach you.
Yes. I'm
trying to help you learn so you can grow and get better. And next time you can do a better job, you know, and not make the same mistakes.
That's beautiful. I mean, what you just said, the whole thing is just for everybody listening. Like, everyone can relate to that. And it's also, it's never about the thing. It's the thing under the thing. Like, when you got up on stage doing American Idol, doing pageants, it's never just about the dress you chose or the high heels. Although I bet even in that regard, you know yourself. Yeah. Which is also really probably important when it comes to confidently getting on stage, walking, singing, doing your thing. Yes. Like, I once wore platform high heels to do a CD release party back in the day when I lived in Winnipeg. And I'd always only performed in, like, my sneakers and, like, dressed it up in other ways, but I like to jump around and stuff, so I wore sneakers. This one day, I wore platform heels. I had the worst show of my life. I had no fun.
Because you didn't feel comfortable.
It wasn't me.
Wow.
It wasn't me. I didn't trip. I didn't do anything, but I was not free. Yes. And I just knew it from the minute I got on stage, and I ended up taking them off for the last 3 songs and performing in bare feet, and that's when I had fun.
Oh my gosh.
So
I love it.
You know, it's like,
I love it.
What you said resonates so much, from the clothes we wear to the music we listen to the way we process, to the way we move and live and have our being. Like, God knows us. He made us, and we know if we can pause. You know, so I love everything you shared. And I also am wondering, on the days you felt like you showed up and you gave it your best, do you find that living this way, from like the honoring what God's asking of you, allows you to deal with criticism better? Like, on the days you show up and don't win, or the pageant doesn't go the way you want, or you didn't win American Idol, or someone doesn't like your song, or someone doesn't buy your album, or someone doesn't like your post. How do you deal with criticism?
I feel like, for me, I feel like I've always been my worst critic.
You're like, it doesn't get worse than what I say to myself.
Which is horrible.
I relate to that.
Oh my gosh, like, my family, like, they tell me all the time, they're like, you're so hard on yourself. You are so hard on yourself. And I didn't, like, my sister literally told me that, like, a couple months ago. I was just up there to visit her, and she's like, you're so hard on yourself. And, you know, I think there's definitely a line that, like, I need to, you know, be like, Jasmine, just, like, chill. you know? Stop feeling like you always have to be this or that, or this perfect version of yourself. Right. Because you're just not, you know?
Right. Like, we're setting ourselves up for failure.
Yeah.
When we think like that, it's
impossible. Yeah. And that is okay, because that's also, like, the beauty in it is, like, seeing yourself, you know, fail, or seeing yourself grow and be like, oh wow, like, I needed that in order to get better, and I would have never known what I could do unless I had to fail.
Right. So you didn't fail. It was literally just a point on your journey to learn.
Yeah. And so, like, it's okay to, like, want to be the best version of yourself. It's okay to want to show up and do great and be productive and be successful. But that's also not the reality of life. It's like, we're not always going to be in that space. Right. And other people are always going to have something to say. Oh my gosh, that just comes with the territory.
That, you know what, right there, that's wise. It's like, I sometimes feel like I'll be like, Chris, da, 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 da. And then I'll have to stop myself and go, you signed up. Like, you have an account. Like, if you don't want to participate, if you don't, like, it either refines you or defines you. And when I can be healthy.
So good.
With that.
I love that.
Oh, because it's just been my battle. Yeah. You know, going like, okay, I'm going to, because I don't just want to dismiss. I always want to just sit there for a second. Is there any truth here? But a lot of the time it's just not. It's hateful and not fun. Yeah. But you kind of have to, like, know the why behind the posting, the why behind the pageant, the why behind American Idol, the why behind all of the decisions that you say yes to. Yeah. And I feel like when I know that, then I can hang better. You know, like, why am I on social media?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I really do want to create a space where tension's okay, healthy disagreement is okay. You know, like, being a Christian isn't just being silent.
Yeah.
We're allowed to, like, lovingly disagree.
Absolutely.
I want this to be, like, a really diverse place where people are like, whoa, like, this is all over the map. I think that's beautiful. I think in some ways we've lost the art of disagreeing with each other and having,
and being able to still be cordial and, like, tactful.
Yeah.
You know, without getting crazy or, you know, just being ugly, you know? Like, there are ways to, like, agree to disagree.
Yeah.
And, I mean...
Totally.
I've had those conversations all the time, and I know that, like... I'm not a confrontational. I don't really like arguments or, you know, anything like that. So I can be a little more passive sometimes, and I'm just like, that's fine. That's how you feel. Like, I'm not going to change that, and that's okay. And I don't
and
want
sometimes
to.
we need to be able to say that, too.
Yeah.
Because I don't actually think it's loving or helpful for either party if nobody is actually there to listen.
Yeah,
then
absolutely.
Then it's better, like, okay, you go your way, I'll go mine. It's okay. That's maybe more loving.
But I think it's so interesting, though, because when you start to have conversations with people and just, like, hear them out, I feel like we have so many more similarities than differences.
100%.
And I think that we get on the defense all the time from one thing. We're like, oh, well, you're different. You know, you look different. You worship different. Or you do this different or, like, whatever. Yeah. And it's like, but at the core of it, we kind of believe the same thing.
Right.
You know? So instead of this being a divisive conversation, this can be a conversation where we just actively hear each other. We can both be open to receiving something. Yeah. And even if we disagree, that's okay. You know, we can walk away saying, I know you a little bit better. And you know what? Like, I even feel like we kind of really connect a little bit more, even though we disagree. Like, you know, we still have a lot more similarities. And I just wish that we could see that sometimes, like, as a community, just understanding, like, hey, if we could just look at each other and not point out the differences, because, I mean, obviously, you and I are black and white. Like, okay, and we're still people. We're still both women. We still, you know, there are so many things that make us alike versus different. Yeah. And so I see those things way more. Yeah. And that is, like, the beauty of when you can just be open to, like, looking at someone for who they are versus what they do or, you know, their stance on this or their opinion on this. It's like, you know, who cares? Like, at the core of it, like, man, I feel so connected to you. Like, you and I have so many similarities and it's awesome. And I'm so happy that we can, like, come together and, you know, talk about those things. And
so with you on that. Yeah, I think that it's sad because I feel like, you know, my neighbors and community where we live, because this backyard would be nice, but it's not mine. But you know, it's not. I don't see people turning away from the Lord because of they found another religion or they found another XYZ. It's mainly just because of the church fighting. Like, I feel like that's where I'm seeing all the fallout. Yeah. You know? Wow. Like, just everything's politicized, everything is argued over. Yeah. You voted that way? Oh, good to know you're not a Christian. Unfollow.
Yeah. That is insane to me. Oh my gosh.
Like, what on earth? And I mean, we can't even technically vote here. but that's okay. Like, that's been, I think, a really, cause I'm Canadian, so I've been here 7 years now, and so I've gotten a little bit more used to life in America, but this last year has been crazy. Like, just by saying, I saw light in this. Yeah. Someone going, oh, okay, great. I'm glad I know who you really are now. Yeah. See you later.
That's crazy.
It is a little bit crazy.
It's like one little thing, and someone thinks they know everything about you. Yeah. And it's like, you have no idea. Right. Like, just because of this one thing, you think you've scratched the surface of who I really am. Right. You know? And then everything else that you talk about, it's like, that goes out the window.
It does. I've had people say that. I don't know if you've ever experienced this too. I'm sure you have, but like, I'm throwing out all your albums, sad I wasted all this money on this, that, and the other thing. It's like, oh my oh wow, I'm sad for you too that you're this bent out of shape about it. Like, donate them to Goodwill. Like, I don't know, that is terrible. I'm sorry that's causing so much strife in your life, but man, it's just really made me stop and check myself too, and just be like, am I listening to love someone and really hear their story? Like Brene Brown says, like, it's hard to hate someone up close, and it really is, and that's why social media really sucks sometimes. You know,
because you only scratch the surface and see small bits and pieces of people, and they also see what people allow them to see, like based on what we post, you know. And I mean, we all know that Instagram can a lot of times be the highlight reel.
Oh, 100%.
People don't always post the bad stuff. Like, I don't always post the bad stuff, you know, sometimes. But you want to, you know, paint this beautiful picture, you know, of yourself with pictures and, you know, with captions and whatever. So people have no idea who you really are, but they think they do. And that's the sad part, is that we can look at some pictures and a couple of emojis and think that we know everything about them. And it's like, no, you have no idea. Like, social media has become like this gateway where we can connect, but in a way we're still so disconnected from each other. Man. And that's the sad part, is that, you know, if we would actually kind of take the time, you know, since people care so much and can be so passionate about, you know, all of these things, it's like, what if you channeled that passion into actually getting to know them and actually having a healthy conversation about this? Since you're so distraught about it, you know, it may not be what you think. And a lot of times it's not. It's not what you think. We jump to these conclusions or assumptions, and that's so easy to do. Even when you see someone for the first time, you know, you make snap judgments about them. So true. And then you sit down and have a cup of coffee and you're like, oh wow, you're a lot different than I thought, you know? And it's like, well, you know, it's the same thing with social media. Like, you don't really know people the way you think you do. And I think, again, that word grace, like having grace for people and just saying, you know, we don't know what they're going through. We don't know what they're really struggling with. And I've had the opportunity to meet like so many people, that like other bloggers that I've followed on social media, and getting a chance to hear their stories and being like, oh my gosh, I had no idea what they were going through. I had no idea. And it's so eye-opening, you know? You're right. And it's so interesting, and you don't know the amount of pressure that they're dealing with, or what's going on in their family life, or their kids, or, you know, you see a small fraction of that. So just have grace, you know. Think about what you're typing before you send it, because just because someone may have a lot of followers, or, you know, be a celebrity. Exactly. Like, words hurt. And I wish people would realize that. Like, they are not just completely, you know, bulletproof to whatever you say. Like, stuff hurts them. Totally. And we should just all be cognizant of that, you know? I don't know.
I agree. No, it's so true. We don't know the story they're living. Like, I love stories. That's why it's my favorite. Because you can have such a strong opinion and stance. I'll make it personal, such a strong opinion and stance, and even let something affect my voting, all of the things I decide to give priority in my life. And then you meet someone. I think that's why it's like so challenging to be a Christian, because love even trumps our values, which is crazy to think about. It's like, and stories do that. It's like, am I going to choose to stay on it? Even trumps law. Like, we have the 10 Commandments, but the biggest one is love. So it's like, even if someone's living something different, believing something different, like, love is over that.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's where it gets real. It gets real, and the tension is real. But I feel like that's what working at our salvation is. You know, and it's learning how to love people and letting them love us, even amidst all the different ways we do life. And stories are so good for that. It's like, oh, now I understand why this is the way you vote. This is the way you live. This is why this, that, and the other thing in your life that I was judging. Now I have context.
Absolutely.
For
that was the word. I was like, yes, having that context. So important. Being able to really see and put the whole picture together, because at the end of the day, like, we all have different experiences, different environments that we grew up in, different things that make us who we are. It's not just all cut and dry, and you're this way because of this. Like, no, you're this way because of a series of events that happened in your life, or maybe some trauma you experienced as a kid, or maybe something that, someone did to you a long time ago. And it's all a part of that. It's all a part of that building block of who you are and have become. And so when people can just take a minute and say, okay, like, let me get the full picture,
right.
Like, let me understand. It's like, wow, oh, that's why. Okay, I get it, and that makes sense, and I can understand that. And so I'm not gonna be so quick to make this assumption or this judgment about you, because I haven't lived your story.
Right.
I haven't been through what you've been through.
Right.
So I probably can't really understand.
Yeah.
But I can sit here and process with you and be there for you, or, just work through it with you, or just listen,
Yeah, right.
Just listen.
Right. I do feel like I've been able to undo a little bit of the pressure to be the professional Christian that wraps everything in a neat and tidy bow. During COVID, just like off stage, not in church, doing church online, it just gave me permission to like step back and go, oh wow, I don't even think I felt that pressure necessarily, but I did, to be like the answer person.
Wow.
When really I've never been called to be the answer person. I've just been called to listen and love, and like hope that a little bit of my offering points people to Jesus. But like, that doesn't mean answering XYZ problems or, don't worry because God, da-da-da-da-da. It's like, sure, but loving you right now doesn't mean giving you answers.
Absolutely.
Right? But I felt that pressure, and that has been a gift of COVID. Even though I've missed, like you said, doing what's normal to us, I've missed it so much. But now getting back up on stage and like we just did 7 shows that were rescheduled from last year. And I was like, Jode, step up as you are. You are not who you were a year and a half ago.
Absolutely.
You're not who you were when you were doing American Idol when you were 16. Like, we have to steward who we are now. And like, I don't need to tell an old story that I know gets lots of applause. I don't need to tell an old testimony. I'm in the middle of new tests. God, I'm in the middle of them. They're not wrapped up in a neat and tidy bow. I'm in the middle, and the testimony is knowing He's with me through it. And I don't have to feel any other pressure. But I feel like that's going to be challenging, because now we're getting back up on the platform, and it's like, you just automatically feel like you're supposed to have, or I grew up thinking that the people that walked on stage in my church had arrived.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, perfection. Right?
And then, like, you look behind the curtain and you're like, okay.
Right. You're just like me. All right.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And that is so, and I think that's so important for us to just be real. And just, like, let people know, like, I don't have it all together.
Right,
like, I don't even want to, like, make anyone think that at any point. Like, because that's a facade. It is not real. That is not how it truly is. And you don't want anyone living to that expectation, thinking in order to be in that position, I have to have it all together. And I certainly have thought that in like so many different phases in my life, where I'm like, if I want to be this, then I have to be like this. And it's like, no, you're never going to be this perfect thing. You aren't. So stop trying. The more and more you try, you're just gonna fail at it, and you're gonna keep disappointing yourself for no reason.
To like reach the goals but have nothing to say because you don't know who you are. What a bummer. Like, a lot better just to show up as you are and be like,
just be honest, just be real.
Honest.
You know, we're all just trying
every
single day to get it right, to do better than yesterday. And
it's true.
I think that's what God wants from us, is to put forth as much effort as we can into being more like Him every day, to loving like Him, serving like Him. And I think when we live that way, it also takes the pressure off of us to be this version of something, because God's not calling us to be perfect. He's not calling us to be this perfect Christian. He's calling us to be servants. He's calling us to be doers of His word, to love people well and unconditionally, like He would love them. That's all He wants. That's all He wants from us.
It's so good.
And if we're just walking in that every day, then we can totally just like live without the pressure, without the chains of perfection and performance, and just be a son or a daughter, a lover of Jesus,
and
just offer up all that we have to Him.
so good. I could talk to you for a million hours.
Me too.
It's so nice.
I love it.
You've dropped so much truth and encouragement.
Oh, you too. Oh my gosh. I just want to hear you talk. Like,
oh goodness. Let's just go on the road together.
Seriously, like when we were on tour a few years ago, like I just remember like hearing you talk a couple of times, like during a Devo, and hearing your heart, and I was like, oh wow, like yeah, girl, like preach,
Yes.
like come on. And I was like, man, like you just constantly would come and you had just this beautiful, like quiet spirit and very still and serene. And I just remember like one of the first times you opened your mouth, and I was just like, wow, like, because I didn't really know you.
Yeah, we were
and
brand
I'd
new
never
friends.
spent time with you before. So like, I had no idea, but you just dropped all these like spiritual bombs of wisdom and encouragement and love, and it was just all wrapped up in this beautiful way that you were able to, you know, project it. And I was just like absolutely in awe of that. And I was like, man, this woman is like, yeah, she's the real deal. Like, she's legit. And like, the more I've gotten to know you,
very kind.
and see you and Chris together and your kids, and I'm like, wow, like, it's awesome to see that.
That's encouraging to hear.
It is, though.
Well, girl, I feel like it'd be really fun to do something together.
Oh my
gosh,
yes.
Again.
Absolutely.
I know, because we were both kind of like nervous wrecks backstage, trying to like do well with our 10-15 minutes, right? Like fit it all in, do our thing.
Yes.
And you have a strength. You stand in such a poised, strong, the combination of like poised and strong with authenticity together, which is like, I feel like you have lots of superpowers, but I feel like that's your thing, and singing a song about fearless, but admitting the fear you work through to be fearless.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Was the message to me on that tour. Like, you know what I mean? And I think that that's important as Christians. Like, we deal with anxiety, we deal with depression.
Yes.
We can be honest about those struggles. It doesn't make us dealing with mental health issues doesn't make us bad Christians.
Absolutely.
And you can't just slap a verse on your pain and think it's all gone. Like,
oh my gosh,
it's a process every day. And like, I just loved that you sang that song and you were honest about the process behind the song. Because sometimes people don't get to see that part, you know?
And it was hard to work up to that point, like, because I felt so embarrassed about it. And I felt that way because of, like you said, looking at other leaders in the church and thinking like, oh my gosh, if they knew about that, then they would look at me differently, or people were going to think something's wrong with me, or, you know, whatever. And I did not share that part of my life for a while because I was afraid of what was going to be said. And I'm so happy that, like, you know, now mental health is really being talked about more, and from people who are believers are able to really share and be open and honest about their struggles too, because it is something that still affects us too. Just because you believe in Jesus does not mean you're immune to everything going on in the world.
Right,
like,
totally.
You're not, like, and that's okay.
We're
But
still humans.
yeah,
Like, it's almost like you become a Christian and forget that you're also human.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, both, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But you can, like, you can still move on from that. Like, that thing doesn't have to define you. And that's what I had to realize. And I had to get to that point of, like, saying, okay, like, yeah, I'm dealing with these anxious thoughts, and I'm dealing with depression and not wanting to do anything, not feeling motivated, and feeling super, super afraid of everything for no reason. But within that, I knew that, like I said, there's so many ways that God can create beauty out of the mess. And, you know, just seeing what he was able to do through that testimony of, like, finally opening up about the anxiety that I was going through, and just being honest and just saying, like, this is the truth, you know. And I really don't want to share it. It's very uncomfortable for me, but it was the push I needed in order to get to a place of freedom, and also be able to encourage someone else. And, like, to see how other people responded to that was mind-blowing. I couldn't believe it. Like, I was so scared. I don't know what I thought was gonna happen. But, you know, you just think, oh my gosh, the world's gonna end, like, people are gonna, you know, I was really, really afraid. And And it was just so amazing to see so many people wrap their arms around me, but also who could relate to that as well.
Yeah, totally.
And could sing that song, and even though it's upbeat and fun, realize like it didn't come from a fun place. Like it didn't come from that good place.
Right. This is from my process.
Yes.
Like, and still in all of us in process.
So,
and kind of you can exhale and be like,
yes.
Okay, I shared the real me.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's okay.
It's out there. Yeah, and it's okay.
And you're healing and you're getting through it.
Yeah.
And you're able to help someone else maybe in their journey to feel less
100%.
alone, to feel like they can get through it, to feel like God loves them too.
Yeah.
And it's not going to make them less of a person or less of a Christian.
Right.
And it's not going to define them either. It's going to just be a small part in the journey that God has you on.
Yeah.
It's just a small little pebble in where He's taking you. It's not the whole piece of the pie.
Yeah.
So.
That's so good. I mean, everyone needs to hear that. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I won't keep you here forever, but where can people, if they don't follow you, how can they find you, follow you, listen to you, all the things?
Well, I still have music out on iTunes or, Spotify, so just Jasmine Murray, and then I'm on Instagram, Jasmine Murray Official, and Facebook, Twitter, Jasmine Murray.
All the things.
Yeah, all the things.
Love it. Thanks, Jasmine.
Thank you.
Love you, friend.
Thank you for having us. Or
Bye, friends.
me. I don't know who us is.
Well,
me
us
and
together and the birds. That bird had a lot to say, so us works. Bye, friends.
Bye.
Thanks for listening in today, friends. And I just wanted to let you know that we have started a Patreon a little while ago.
Yeah.
And you can go to www.patreon.com/loveintheoutcome to check out what we have in store there. There's some special things that are only for Patreon members. There are 2 different price tiers that you can join up.
Yeah.
And, just stay in touch with what we're doing.
Yeah. I think you just put up a song from your old band.
Yes.
Or you're about to.
Yes.
Stuff like that we're not really sharing elsewhere. It's kind of a behind-the-scenes exclusive access to Love and the Outcome. So meet us there. Like always, if this episode spoke to you, share it with someone who needs this in their life. Rate, review, subscribe, and check out Healing Hugs because they're just incredible. Check out the link.